So for today's video, I'm not feeling too pretty, so I didn't want to show my face, guys. I hope you understand. No, I'm just playing. But it's time to start the video. So for my cultural artifact, I picked the movie Think Like a Man. I'm pretty sure all of you seen it. It has special guests like I'm talking about special guests, famous actors and actresses like Kevin Hart, Megan Good, Taraji P. Henson, Chris Brown. But anywho, let's get into this. There is four women and four men who eventually all hook up. But before all of that happens, they have a lot to learn about one another. One thing that is notable about them is all of the women start reading a book called Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man by Steve Harvey, who is also in the movie. So they started applying that advice that Steve was giving them to their relationships that they soon have with these men. But the guys, they then find out that the women are reading this book and try to flip the tables on the girls. But you know how that worked. It never worked. They shouldn't have did it. It was horrible. So, once the guys betrayed the girls by, using the book against them in a negative way, I would say, they all stopped talking to them. But the way the guys resolved that problem was making all of the women they were talking to dreams come true. Like, for instance, Candy, she wanted a man that would love her and her son. Maya, she wanted a man who wanted her for her and not just sex. Then we have Christine, who wanted her man to pop the question about marriage and stop acting like a kid. And then Lauren, she was not anything like the other three women that I just named. She wanted a man with six figures, but she then learned that six figures does not always matter in a relationship. But in the end, the men realized they had to grow up and make the right choices in their life to get the women back that they wanted to be with. Now, for question 2, what I picked was interesting in its presentation of sex/gender because it shows different perspectives for relationships between men and women. For like Candace, her man was a mama's boy and he had to get out of that in order to, make his relationship stronger with Candace. And then for Zeke, and Maya, he had to stop being a player and realize it's not all about the cookie, as Maya would say. Now, for sex/gender, plays a role in the dynamics between characters in different ways. For example, Maya, when she goes on a date with Zeke, she tells him, "Oh, I don't go on dates with guys who don't open the door for me." And he's like, "Oh, okay," and pulls out, but he was just playing. And then for Candice, she had a issue with Michael being a mama's boy because things weren't working out. They weren't really getting to hang out and things like that because he always, had something to do with his mom or put her first for certain things, and she just really wasn't understanding that. And it wasn't working for her. She was like, "No, gotta go, bye-bye." Now for the next question. The way sex gender is identified to the audience is kind of different depending on who you are. That's what I would say because I know every woman who watched this movie or every man that watched this movie did not have the same, thoughts about it when it came to being identified because everyone is different and see everything in a different way. So now, when it comes to the question about sex/gender power differences that show up, I would say, for example, when Maya in the movie throughout it, she says something about the females hold the power of the cookie, which is, a man can't get to the cookie unless, you give him the cookie. So I would say we have that one power difference between the men and the women in this movie. And then for the next question, how does the character conform to or challenge traditional sex slash gender roles or stereotypes? I would say, you know how when a man or a woman messes up in a relationship, the man always has to make, um, changes or make up for his mistakes and her mistakes. So, for my example, I would use Lauren when she wanted a different man instead of Michael after she found out he was just a chef and he didn't have six figures like she believed a man should have in a relationship. But in the end, she made everything right with him. So it was like different to see another woman actually fight for her relationship, because that's not what most women do. I guess you could say the men always make everything right, because women like to argue a lot. But okay, to the last question of part 2. The concept I will use from class to sum up all of my points and my examples that I just stated is, I know we were in class one day and we were all talking about how characteristics of a real man and a real woman and other things of that nature. So I don't really know the term that we were using for it, but I do feel like my movie relates to that day in class when we were having that discussion, because these women used this book just like the men did to find out how they could get things that they wanted out of men, which is just a good relationship, and how to keep a man from just reading the book instead of actually, sitting down, having a conversation, getting to know them, getting to read them, seeing what they like to do, this and that and that. So I would use those concepts from that day in class to answer that question. Lastly, for question 3, I have 3 amazing questions that I have always wanted to know, and this movie is the perfect example for these 3 questions, because a lot of this goes on. But let me stop running my mouth and hit y'all with these 3 questions so y'all could be wondering like, wow, that is so interesting. I always wanted to know that. This is going to be a great debate in class. Just wait. So, my first question is, do you think women set unrealistic standards? Lot to think about. Second question, why do men spend time to get to know a woman sexually but not mentally? Fellas, we love to know. I'm just kidding. I know all of you are not the same, but that is one of my questions, honestly. And lastly, for number 3, why do women jump to conclusion and think men do anything just to have sex with them? Ladies, I need all the answers. So now I can finally add my scene from the movie into my video so y'all can understand where I am coming from, just in case you have not seen the movie. But I just feel like this discussion gonna be so amazing in class tomorrow. So mad that it's the end of the semester and we just now having to do an assignment like this. This is so amazing. I really love this assignment, and I'm glad that y'all got to watch my video, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm sorry that it is so long, but I love to talk to y'all. So, but let me put this clip at the end, and thank y'all. Bye-bye.
You have the cookie.
Cookie? I'm a cookie monster. You know what I got? Is actually I got some latte. I can explain that.
Lying ass sack of shit.
I was just using this to defend myself.
Defending yourself against what?
Against your 90-day rule.
That was created themselves with sorry asses like you.
Oh, so I'm the villain, and you didn't have the guts to tell me that I was on a 90-day probation.
I was gonna tell you.
Oh,